Welcome to the Come Together Music Project podcast, where we use music to deepen existing relationships, create new ones, and bridge divides. I'm your host, Shaka Mitchell, and during each episode, I sit down with a diverse group of guests who match unique musical selections to universal experiences. We'll each take a turn answering the same question using a song as our answer. It's always a good time, and I encourage you to pick your own songs as we go through the episode. In the process, I think you'll find that we've got more in common than meets the eye. Well, I came to know today's guest when I met Dr. Tania Israel when she gave a talk about one of her books. The book was Beyond Your Bubble, How to Connect Across the Political Divide, and it really resonated because obviously that's something that this project is working on, connecting with people across any number of fault lines and divisions. But let me introduce her properly. Dr. Tania Israel is an award-winning author, public speaker, podcaster, psychologist, memoirist, and now professor emeritus. Her interests include navigating political discussion, bisexual advocacy, and Buffy the Vampire Slayer, who I think we're going to learn a little bit more maybe during this episode. So welcome, Tania. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks so much, Shaka. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, and joining Tania is Elizabeth Scharpf. And Elizabeth is a social entrepreneur and calls herself an urgent optimist, which I love, who thinks about making possible what people think is insanely impossible. And I really love that. Along with Dr. Israel, Elizabeth co-hosts the Ready to Be Strong podcast. Elizabeth, thanks for joining me.
I'm so happy to be here.
Well, I'm really looking forward to these selections. Per usual, and our listeners know, I always get really excited when I see the song selections come in because you never know what you're going to get. And this episode, it's fantastic in that these selections came through, and I just want to know more immediately. So for our first song, let's just get warmed up by imagining having a dinner party with friends from our college years. And the question was, what might you play at such a dinner? And so I'll go ahead and break the seal. I decided that if I was going to have friends over from my college years at Belmont University in Nashville, Tennessee, shout out to Belmont Bruins, that I would play High and Dry by Radiohead. And so here's a little bit of that. I can just picture everybody singing around the dinner table, So that's High and Dry by Radiohead. That one, for me, it conjured up just that time. I mean, I think that album came out when I was in college, and I went back and looked at it. It was 96, 97 is when that, 96, 97, 98 when that came out. And so those are my college years, and we listened to a lot of Radiohead. And then I went back and I listened to the lyrics. We heard a little bit of it there, but it says, it's the best thing that you ever had. And I just think that's kind of how college felt, certainly in the moment. There's hopefully a lot of growth has happened since then, but that line, the best you've ever had, really made me think of those years, sort of to be 19, 20, and I don't know, there's just a lot of power in that youth. Maybe overconfidence, but a lot of power in that youth. Is that a song that either one of you are familiar with and knew?
I would say a bit. I was during the time that I was in college too, so I'd have to say yes, but I don't think it played in my dorm room, but definitely in like the dorm next to me. And does bring back like that, Dave Matthews and some other folks definitely bring back the 90s for sure.
Yeah.
I am a wee bit older than the two of you, and so I sort of stopped paying attention to music after the 1980s ended. I've only come back to music more recently, so I don't really. It sounds a little familiar. Maybe I've heard
Yeah.
it somewhere, but I don't know it.
Yeah, I was thinking about that line, the best you've ever had, and reflecting on like what makes that time, that season of life for so many people so nostalgic. And one of the things that came to mind for me, and I don't know if this rings true for either one of you, but I thought in some ways, because you haven't been kind of hit in the mouth by life, in all of the ways that may come in the decades after graduation, I think there's such confidence, right? And again, that can be unhealthy, but there's also something beautiful about just going like, yeah, like let's take on the world, and it's the best we ever, like we can do it. And I do think that is something, I see with my own kids where I go, yeah, I want them to hold on to some of that as long as possible, because I think there's some real power in believing in your own ability to change things, etc. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's nice. So it sounds like it was both. This is something that was so emblematic of college, like everybody was listening to it, but also really the meaning of the lyrics speaks to where you were in college and kind of what you hope to imbue others with.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. That's exactly right. Well, let's go to Elizabeth. I'm really curious about how you came to this song. So why don't you tell us what the song is, who it's by, and then we'll listen to a little bit of it. And then you can tell us after that, we'll circle back around and hear why you picked this song.
So I picked a song called Come On Home by the Jadu Sisters. And it's actually a song that we didn't listen to in college, but actually I heard it maybe like 10 years ago, and it struck me because number one, I love the music, and it kind of sounds like a throwback to, I was thinking like the 80s, but it actually is from earlier than the 80s. And and the name Come On Home reminds me of coming home, not just to the place of college, but to the feeling of being with your college friends. And that they just brought out the core person that I still am to this day. And I just had time to spend with them. So it reminded me of that time. And then I think also the singers are from Nigeria. And although I went to school in Indiana, we all, which is kind of like the middle of the
The opposite of Nigeria?
yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can say
but we
that.
all
I don't think
and
that's
like
offensive. Yeah.
and you can conjure up all the stereotypes of Indiana, and a lot of them are true. But yet we all went and lived and worked around the world after that time. And so it just reminds me of like just the global nature of all my friends, even though we were in Indiana and we didn't know that we were going to be all dispersed around the world over the next 20 years. So
That's very cool. That's very cool. All right, Elizabeth. Well, let's listen to Come On Home by the Lijadu Sisters. Here it is. Yeah, that's super. I'm really glad you introduced, at least for me, that was very new. I had never heard that before, never heard of this group before. So thanks for introducing me to that. So I'm curious, you talked about kind of going abroad. Did you spend some time abroad and sort of overseas working after college or during college?
Yeah, so after college, I lived in Austria for a few years, and then I lived in Mozambique, and then Rwanda for over 3 years, and worked there for over a decade, and other countries since, and so have my friends, and it also is just like a song. I just wanted to get up and dance, didn't you?
Absolutely.
So, and that also is very much like reminds me of college too, coming home from the bars or a party. And a great friend of mine was from Panama, and we would just like salsa dance until 2 in the morning. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That's great. That's a dinner party I would want to attend. I mean, that's a great background soundtrack to that. Well, Tanya, let's shift to yours, which is also a song that you just want to dance to. I think. I don't want to scoop you. So why don't you introduce your song and the artist, and then we'll listen to a little bit of it.
Okay, I chose Faith by George Michael.
Amazing. And here it is. It's so hard to not like clap and snap along, right?
I know, so freaking catchy.
Just an iconic song. So is that a song, Tanya, that you listen to and you remember from your college years? Tell us why you picked that one.
Yes, indeed. I will tell you, first of all, I have been tortured by this question because I was like, okay, it's got to be 80s music if it's college for me. But then I was like, what 80s music do I want to sit down and have a dinner party to? So I was like, I feel like there's a lot of music, like in college, we would go out dancing or we would listen very intently to music. But I think about dinner party music more as background music. And I was having such a hard time reconciling this. I won't even tell you, it'll take the rest of our time here to go through the whole list of other songs that I had considered. I brought this up. I had some people over to dinner the other night. We talked about what songs do you play at dinner parties. Yeah. So I finally had to be like, okay, I'm going to forget about the fact that this might be distracting, because every song I could think of, people are going to be like, oh my God, I love this song. Or like you were talking about, Shaka, like everybody's singing along. If you were like, song that you would go to karaoke with your college friends with, that would be a lot easier. But dinner party, anyway. So I was like, this is so iconic. It's so catchy. And I went to hear an 80s cover band the other night. And when they played this, people just are drawn to it. So I thought, This is a really fun song and it brings people together so much.
Yeah. Well, I love that. And to me, I'll tell you when I can imagine listening to this song during the dinner party. I'm going to try to shoehorn this into your dinner party so that it's not so disruptive. I think that some of the best dinner parties actually happen when the cooking is still happening. And I can absolutely see kind of like bopping around the kitchen and getting things served while that song is playing, Okay. So I agree with you. Yeah, by the end of the night, maybe this is not the right one. But boy, at the beginning and getting things set and ready to go, that's just, it's such a little bop. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. Well, thank you. And that song sort of gets us warmed up a little bit. And so now, I want to take it from this group setting and make it a little more individual, a little more personal. And so the next category is for a song that reminds you of a personal hero. And this time, why don't we start with Elizabeth? Tell us what song you selected. We'll listen to it, and then we'll dig in a little bit.
Sure. So I picked Born to Run by Bruce Springsteen. And it wasn't a specific hero that I was thinking of, but rather not a genre, but a group of people, community. And we're running. We're continuing to run, and we never give up, and we never quit. And that's what the song brings up in my heart and mind when I hear it.
I love it. Well, let's listen to a little bit of it, and then we'll just kind of dig in a little bit more. All right, Born to Run by the boss, Bruce Springsteen. So good. Such a good song. Yeah. So it sounds like that's when you kind of think of the hero, you're thinking of what makes a hero.
Well, there's a little bit some personal thing to that song too. So I went to Bruce Springsteen's high school, and so when you hear the song, it kind of, how he talks about the town and how it went through its, its ups and then its downs. And then, but people are still, fighting and to get somewhere. And so that's what I really love about it. They do say tramps like us. It doesn't, kind of resonates, but anyway. So I think that's why I chose it.
There's definitely an underdog mentality kind of running throughout that whole song. And oftentimes like that's where our heroes are found, right? And what makes them here. If it was inevitable, it wouldn't really be a very exciting story.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think that it's so interesting just to dovetail it to July 4th, and not to be too political, but Bruce Springsteen in the 80s really reminds me of like red, white, and blue and patriotism, and I was definitely a part of that then, and I want to reclaim it now. And I, perhaps we all should, as and maybe that will help bridge the divide at some point too.
Yeah.
More
yeah.
on that later.
I love that. Well, thank you for sharing that song. Tania, I saw you enjoyed that song also. I could tell.
Yes, I am a huge fan of Bruce Springsteen. And, for me, that song, just the way he sings it, the power and heart that he brings to it is so inspiring. And that's such a heroic.
Yeah, absolutely. And you just got the sense that he meant it, right? He wasn't faking it while singing that song. That was a real story. Beautiful song. Okay, now this next one was news to me, and I'm so curious about it. So tell us about the song, Tania, and then we're going to listen to it a little bit. And as my abuelo used to say, I think you're going to have some explaining to do about this one. So tell us about this song.
Okay.
Or tell us what it is. Yeah.
Yes. The song that I chose is Prophecy Girl by Buffering the Vampire Slayer, which is a podcast about Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Okay, well, here is some of Prophecy Girl by Buffering the Vampire Slayer. Here we go.
Just keep fighting, just keep fighting. That's what I'm supposed to do. If I just keep fighting, just keep fighting, know that I'll believe it too. Ooh.
Okay. It's a really lovely song. It was news to me. But I really enjoyed it. So tell us more about this.
Okay, so I'm a huge fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and Buffering the Vampire Slayer is a podcast with like two queer women co-hosting where they cover one episode of Buffy for each of their podcast episodes, and end each episode of their podcast with an original song that they write and perform, especially written and performed by Jenny Owen Youngs because she's a singer-songwriter, but also Kristen Nolene Russo is involved in that. So this song is for the final episode of season 1, which is called Prophecy Girl. And oh my gosh, I'm going to get emotional just talking about it. So it's both because, well, now Buffy is my own personal hero. Like she is my North Star, the one that I look to. Because she's always learning and growing through the process and always trying to empower other people to also live to their best. And that's really something that I try. In fact, the name of our podcast, Ready to Be Strong, is taken from a Buffy the Vampire Slayer speech that she gives. So the other thing, though, is that Buffering the Vampire Slayer, this podcast, has become like a beacon of hope and connection for so many people, especially during like turbulent political times and things. And when this song came out, they recently have a book that came out about the podcast called Slayer's Every One of Us. And when they write about this song and when they first performed it live, and everybody's singing along to the Just Keep Fighting chorus, it's so moving. And the other thing is that there's 3 choruses in the song, and she moves from like, I think it's maybe I'll believe it too, I think that I'll believe it too, and then something more certain. So she's sort of in the process of persisting through the fight, really gains more confidence herself.
Yeah. That's really beautiful. Yeah. Thank you. Amazing that they are writing all of this, kind of coming up with all this original music. So just from the pure craft standpoint, that's pretty amazing. But I love the things that you talk about, kind of what makes for a good hero, right? And a good personal hero, this person who's persisting and inspiring others as well. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you for that song. So that was Prophecy Girl by Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And it's a good time for me to remind folks that in addition to listening to the songs here, that we will put in the show notes, we'll put a link to the Spotify playlist. And so folks can listen to the full list of songs if you're interested. And we'd love to hear your comments on them as well. Well, my song, when I thought about personal heroes, I sort of, took a little license in as the host here and picked a song where they actually name some people. And I would say that all of these folks that are going to get named, I would put in that hero category. And then I'll tell you a little bit more about it. But the song is called Made in America. And if it's, talk about getting controversial, this is a duet by Kanye West and Jay-Z. This is right. sort of before everybody went off the deep end, but it is what it is. But Made in America by Kanye West and Jay-Z. Here it is.
Sweet King Martin, sweet Queen Coretta, sweet Brother Malcolm, sweet Queen Betty, sweet Mother Mary, sweet Father Joseph, sweet Jesus, we made it in America, sweet baby Jesus. Oh, sweet baby Jesus, we made it in America, sweet baby Jesus.
Yeah, and so that song to me, I mean, one of the things, I don't know if you caught it, but in the chorus, he ends up saying, "We made it in America." So the name of the song is Made in America, but he says, "We made it in America." And when I think about the people who are named there, so Reverend Dr. King and his wife, Malcolm X, and Betty Shabazz, Jesus, right? When I think about these folks, again, underdog stories, inspirational stories, but I think that element of like, what does it take to make it in America? For a lot of people who have made it against all odds, and that I think I have found really inspiring over the years, and even the people named in that song are really, really different. It's not lost on me either that the artists, Kanye West and Jay-Z, they also kind of have their own like hero or an anti-hero arc to them, and so there's something there too. But yeah, this like underdog theme that we've all sort of discussed kind of resonates with me. Okay, well, I wanna move us on from personal heroes, and I want to talk about something that I know the three of us think a lot about, and that is strengthening the bonds within and across our communities. So I asked you to think about a song that makes you think about community, right? And, Tania, you recently retired after spending 27 years in academia, and I know a lot of your scholarship focused on marginalized communities. So I'd love to start with you. Tell us the song that you chose, and then we'll dig in a little bit.
Sure. I picked Long Live by Taylor Swift.
All right. Well, here it is. Well, I want to first congratulate you because now my daughters might actually listen to my podcast. So that may be the first thing I want to mention. But yeah, Long Live by Taylor Swift. How did you come to that song?
Well, I will say, first of all, like 4 years ago, I never heard a Taylor Swift song before because I stopped listening to music after the 1980s.
My goodness.
And then
She's kind of a big deal.
I did a deep dive.
Okay.
And so I became a big Swiftie. And then before I went to the Eras tour, I was doing that thing where I was making the friendship bracelets. I learned to make friendship bracelets. And then I went to the concert. And the most amazing thing about it was, like, outside the stadium, everybody's trading friendship bracelets. There are, like 8-year-olds to 80-year-olds. They've all got these bracelets that they made that they're trading. And so I don't know if people see this on video, then I will just show you. These are the friendship bracelets that I got.
Oh my goodness.
Because I made like 100 friendship bracelets. And so people would just give these friendship bracelets to you. And it felt like such community. And then during the concert, I mean, Taylor Swift was amazing. But the thing about the experience of being there was I felt so connected to all the other people who were there. And it's striking to me how she's able to create such a sense of community among her fans. And honestly, if I'm going to do something that I'm a little bit nervous about or I need a boost of confidence, I will take one of those friendship bracelets and I will put it on. And I feel like I have all of the Swifties with me when I do that. And that to me is an incredible power of community when you feel like you can go and do something and be more confident because you have your community behind you and connected to you. And so there you go. Long Live. And Long Live is the song that she wrote for her fans. And it's just so beautiful when everybody's hearing it and so uplifted by it. That's super. Elizabeth, are you a self-proclaimed Swiftie also?
Can't say I am, but I do enjoy.
That's all right.
Enjoy her music, and I've been, I was brought to a concert way back in the day, it was in Newark, New Jersey, and it was a pretty small arena compared to what she does now, and I was pretty blown away. It was intergenerational. It was safe. It was feel good, and I even made a sign, and
What did your sign say?
Will you marry me? I gave it to Sarita.
I love it.
Anyway, so
that's great. Well, one of the things I really love about that story, Tania, is that the connections that were happening in real life, and they were happening with something tactile, right? I love these bracelets because, I mean, in some ways, we've gotten so accustomed in the digital space, I think, to just liking. Like. You can press the heart, whatever. You can, if you're really thoughtful, you can long press it and you can make it a care. It's not to say that these things aren't real, but I suspect that when you go into a hard situation, as you were describing, it's much more meaningful to bring along one of those bracelets than it is to try to conjure up but remember there were, 14 people who liked a picture I posted last Tuesday. Okay, I love the tactile nature and the fact that you're looking at someone, in the face and you're exchanging this thing with them.
I'm going to follow up on that real quick because so when my most recent book came out, Facing the Fracture, I needed something to do in between when I finished the book and when it actually came out. And so I just started making friendship bracelets because apparently that's what I do now. So I was making Ready to Be Strong friendship bracelets because it's not only the name of our podcast, it's also like, spoiler alert, how I end my book with that speech from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So I'm making all these Ready to Be Strong friendship bracelets. And when I do book signings and things, when somebody buys a book and I sign it, I give them a friendship bracelet. And people have then been telling me, I've been hearing about how meaningful that is. Someone, and I heard this through another friend, said that like they're so disturbed by some of what's going on in our world and our country these days. And they have my friendship bracelet hanging from the rearview mirror in their car and they touch it every day and it helps them feel better. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that is like so moving to me that it has that impact. So I agree with you. Something tactile that makes us feel connected to other people, just it's unbelievable what it can do.
Also, you may have just become like the, like second tier patron saint of travelers or something, right? Is that, I don't know my patron saints well enough, but St. Tania, you might be, there's a little icon of you there. Yeah. No, I think there's really something to that. Thank you. And listen, again, not to belabor this, but you can tell at Taylor Swift's concerts, which I have not been to, but I've seen them. You can watch on Disney and you can see all the stuff. And I live in Nashville, and so I think she did 3 nights here, mostly in the rain, and people were still out there the whole time, lined up from 10 a.m., ready to go.
But still, you want to be at a rain show. Like,
I guess, yeah.
That's...
well, again, it just says, of course they're there to see her, but the experience, it's nothing without this huge community and this shared experience too. Because then, people come back and you see them like showing off the shirts. Hey, I got this, and I was with my friends, and you see all the pictures, and pretty obvious that the community is strong there. Community is really strong, and some artists can really do that, right? I mean, she can do it. The Beehive, that like you don't want to kick the Beehive. It's going to be a problem. So
that's right.
Pretty amazing. Well, let me tell you, the song that I selected for this is a song. We'll play it, listen to it, and I'll tell you a little bit more about it. But the song is called Nueva York by Bad Bunny. Here it is.
Nueva York. Si te quieres divertir con intento y con primor, solo tienes que vivir un verano en Nueva York. Nueva
York. Okay, so this song, Nueva York, is a kind of a cover. He's taken a sample from that song, from an older song called Un Verano en Nueva York. That's by this Puerto Rican band. I mean, and this band, I think maybe the song came out in the 70s. But when I heard this Bad Bunny song, immediately I thought, I've heard that before. At some point in my house, maybe with my abuela, maybe with my mom, I don't know. At some point I heard that. But I will tell you that right now, from where we sit when we're recording this, summertime 2025, there is no bigger global artist than Bad Bunny. I checked the other day. Bad Bunny's concerts are all sold out through October, right? He's doing these massive shows. But one of the super interesting things is that this album has become a rallying cry for Puerto Ricans in particular, but also the album has a lot of songs in which he's kind of reminiscing about Puerto Rican culture. And for instance, he's got a song on the album that says it's called "Lo que pasó la Hawaii." The idea is like, don't let what happened to Hawaii happen to Puerto Rico. And Puerto Ricans around the world have sort of latched onto this, but not just Puerto Ricans. Apparently, now his songs have become an anthem even in Gaza, as people who are being displaced or, for whatever, any number of reasons, are talking about what it means to hold on to their heritage. And so these songs, are just like bringing people together in a way that I don't know that I've ever even seen anything like it. He's got, I think I saw half a dozen concerts that he's doing in Puerto Rico only for Puerto Rican residents. Like, you have to be a resident to even buy a ticket. And by the way, you can't buy a ticket anymore because these things are sold out instantly. So it's just something about the nostalgia and whatnot is just really resonating with people.
The word that struck me when you were talking was anthem. And, usually you'd hear anthem as like a national anthem, but a community anthem is also very powerful too. And I love that.
Yeah.
Take that and go with that.
Yeah. It's been an amazing just record to listen to, but also just thinking about I don't know, I think he's sort of forcing people to have a conversation around like, what does it mean to, yes, be part of the United States of America and proud of that, and also to hold on to a unique cultural heritage that not everyone has access to, right? To sort of be from the island of Puerto Rico. And you could do this, by the way, for lots of different groups. And I think that's the kind of like nuanced decision or nuanced discussion that is really worth having. Yeah. How do we hold on to these things?
There's an interesting piece in thinking about community and culture, because it also means that when you create community around culture or fandom or like whatever that community's around, then some people aren't going to feel like they're part of it. Like Elizabeth doesn't feel like a Swiftie, and that's okay. We can still be friends. And, I think that that's something where culture, it's very hard to create something where everybody feels like they belong to, and I think that's okay to recognize, but it's also important to recognize that like there's different things that people will gravitate to. So it's important that we have ways of supporting different cultures that people build communities around, so that like everybody can have their space. It's even if it's not, the same space as everybody else.
Yeah. Well, unsurprisingly, you put that really well. And it makes me think a little bit about, holding on to some of that culture, appreciating it, maybe even having a preference for, one over another, but not ascribing like moral value, right? And sort of a moral hierarchy to sort of say, well, and you hear kids often do this, where I remember having some conversations around the dinner table years ago where sometimes our girls would say, oh, such and such is weird. And we go, well, it's not weird. Like, that's not the right word. It might be different, right? Like trying out different foods. It might be different because you're not used to having that. You're not used to those flavors or spices or music or whatever. But it doesn't mean that it's weird, right? Because that's got kind of a judgment attached to it.
It might be unfamiliar. Yeah.
Unfamiliar. That's right. Right. might be unfamiliar. Well, that's Nueva York, and I will also tell you one more thing about it, and then Elizabeth, we want to hear your final selection. But I recently gave a presentation. It was for a group of Hispanic ambassadors. Well, it's called the Hispanic Ambassador Program. These are education advocates and education leaders, some school leaders and some folks who are doing like policy work, but it's called the Hispanic Ambassadors Program. And as I was setting up my PowerPoint presentation, I played the original song that I mentioned that Bad Bunny sampled for that. And I said, hey, is it okay if I just play a little music while I'm getting set up? And, people who knew? They don't know what I was going to play. And I play this, and believe me when I tell you that 75% of the room immediately knew what it was. This was not a group of just Puerto Ricans either, but they knew what it was. And it was like kind of challenging to rein it back in at that point because everybody was just kind of like vibing along together. It was a really, really beautiful thing. Yeah.
That's great.
I wish I could claim that it was my music. I just pressed play. That's it. Okay, well, Elizabeth, tell us what song you selected that either makes you think about community, maybe community as it is, or maybe even in an aspirational way, community as it should be. What's the song?
All right, so I picked Waving Flag by Kanan. And this was not all planned out, but in this way, but I think it's actually a great final song and like umbrella for what we were talking about, which is, for me, like you can have community and make space or have a large enough container for people from all different walks of life and be together in community. And each person is like, quote, waving their own flag. And
all right. Well, let's listen to it. Waving Flag by Kanan. Here it is. This kind of feels like an anthem. Thanks, Elizabeth. Yeah, tell us more about that. How did you even come to know this song?
I think it came out maybe 5 years ago, and usually I'm into songs when I can just like vibe with the music, and it's not really about the words. But for this song, it literally is partly the words, like just the alliteration of waving flag. And in my head, I was just picturing like a giant stadium full of people from all over the world, and they're coming together and holding space for one another. And like I said, from all over and very different, but we can be together and hold community space together. And it just so happens that it then became, I had these thoughts and feelings before it became, I think, the World Cup song that year.
Yes, like, yes. Okay.
Advertising agency nailed it. And that's what I just like picture in my mind. And it talks about like the struggles that, everyone's had at some personal struggle or community struggle. And so we can all still come together. So that's, and bridge.
I love it. Well, I'm glad that you mentioned where that song has been so prominent, because when I played it, I thought I have definitely heard this song before, but I just couldn't place it. And I wondered, I was like, is it the Olympics or something? Because right. Again, I even had that same vision of people from around the world all coming together and doing that. But it makes total sense that it would be a World Cup kind of anthem. Yeah.
I'm actually sitting at my desk, and in addition to like 100 friendship bracelets on my desk, I also have a flag right here. It's the bisexual flag, and that's a community that I'm part of. And so as you're thinking about like everybody's a waving flag, I'm like, oh yeah, this is a flag I wave all the freaking time in so many ways. And hopefully what it does is brings me together with other people, but also helps me to connect with people who are not in that community as well. And I think that that's sort of what we're talking about some with community. It's like you've got community that's connected together by something, but if we can do that in ways that doesn't push away people who are not in that community, I think that's a ideal situation.
Yeah, it makes me think that the I don't know if this is kind of straining the metaphor of the song, but that waving the flag, it should be kind of the start of a conversation. It's kind of a signal. It's an indicator about, in this case, about a person. But frankly, no person could be summed up, and no person's life experience could be summed up in just one flag. I mean, it's just cloth, right? It's just cloth and color and whatever, and design. It can be the start, but I think often we've sort of viewed these things as more of a the end. It's more like planting the flag, and like this is it's so determinative and it's so all encompassing that like, oh, I saw you wave that flag, I guess I know everything about you, which can't be true, right? So it's got to be kind of the start of the conversation.
Yeah.
And I like how you differentiate between planting a flag and waving it. And waving it for me makes it feel like it's fluid. It's an opening to have a conversation. It's joyous. So yeah, I like that distinction you made.
Thank you. Well, that was a great song. All of them, per usual. I have experienced and heard now some new music, which is great. But even better is the stories and learning some about why you picked those and what they mean to you and kind of the memories and ideas that they conjure up. I would love to close, as I do every one of these episodes, by asking you both to reflect on something maybe that you heard during this episode that surprised you. And it might be one of the lyrics, it might be one of the stories, but is there anything that comes to mind that you go, oh, that is something? And I know that you two know one another already, but I wonder if there's something that you heard that went, that surprised me. And I've got one, and so I'm happy to break the ice here. And I will say that I did not see it coming that Tania is a Swiftie, and not just like a fledgling, oh yeah, I've heard of Taylor Swift, but like, no, at the concert with bracelets in hand. And it, really surprised me actually to hear that this is a whole thing. I am not deep enough in that culture to know that these things are traded, and traded sort of intergenerationally is kind of that's a really cool thing. I'm trying to think of other places where that sort of transaction happens, and I'm having a hard time thinking of other places actually. So that's really surprising in a good way. What about you two? What's something that you heard that maybe surprised you?
I was surprised to hear about Bad Bunny and the song that he remixed, and the thoughtfulness that went into that, and trying to make sure that Puerto Ricans are like claiming their culture and their identity and want to stand by it. That doesn't surprise me, but that Bad Bunny is like pushing this movement and is an activist. Love it.
Yeah. I would say something, I don't know if I'd say it surprised me, but that I was really struck by is that music that we talked about exists not just in this level of like our own personal relationship to it, but there's this meaning that these artists have, and the work that they do has far beyond themselves, and the meanings and interpretations that people have. Elizabeth, you were talking about Bruce Springsteen in the 1980s and all the red, white, and blue, and I'm like, yes, that's because of the album Born in the USA, but Born in the USA is not a song celebrating the United States, but it took on this whole other meaning. And in some ways it, and then we're talking about flag waving, and I'm like, oh yes, we're right back to that, where there are these symbols that we have that we, put meaning on, and that our experience of the music and of the artists, it's really layered. So I really appreciate the opportunity to kind of reflect on that and notice.
Well, thank you both for highlighting those things. I mean, to your point, Tanya, I think of the song "Hallelujah." Most folks know the some version of the Leonard Cohen song "Hallelujah." So that song, when it came out, it was actually panned by the record label. They did not want to put that song out. They didn't think it had any legs. It might be the most covered song in history, as far as we know. But, some people know the Leonard Cohen version. Some people know the Jeff Buckley version. Some people, my kids would know the Rufus Wainwright version and associate it with Shrek, right? The movie Shrek. It's played at weddings. It's played at funerals. How does the same song get played at both of those, right? Because, music can take on meaning that's contextual and very personal. But we can all sit and listen to it and kind of enjoy it together. And I do think that it can build some of those bonds.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much, Elizabeth, Scharpf, Tania, Israel, for participating with me and joining the Come Together Music Project podcast. I hope that our listeners enjoyed the tunes. I certainly did. I just want to thank you for helping to show how music can deepen existing relationships and even build new ones and build bridges. Had a really great time with you both. So thanks so much.
Thank you.
1, 2, 3, 4.
This has been another episode of the Come Together Music Project podcast. I'm your host, Shaka Mitchell. You can listen to episodes on all major platforms and watch on YouTube. Stay tuned.